Well, what do we have here? That is the new Hobie Lynx, and I've used it for past 2 days, and I'm gonna give you a full review on it. Gonna give you an overview of it now, and then once I'm in an area with good sound and everything else like that, we'll talk about some of the things about it that I liked, some of the things that I disliked, and some of the things that are manageable, and some of the things that you might be able to, I don't want to say fix or correct, but ways that you can maybe make it better. So we'll go over all that, but for right now, I'm going to do a real quick pan and overview shot of it, of how I've had it set up the past couple days. So there she is. I got my tow rope, if you will. The drive's up out. It does. I was loaned kick up turbo fins, so those were really awesome. I put some cup holders and rod holder over there, and I mainly did that so I had kind of a way to set up a barrier for measuring fish. And then over here I put my paddle grip holder because I'm not a big fan of that one. And then basically just had my crate back here. But yeah, I mean, this was how I had it set up for the past 2 days. And it's a really cool boat. I enjoyed myself in it. She's a little messy right now and probably needs a bath, but fun boat. So, this is not a PA-14. I am on the new Hobie Lynx, and so far, this thing is fast, and the maneuver is awesome. Like, I mean, this thing is intense. Look how quick it'll turn. Like, that's wild. And I'm pretty impressed with it so far. All right, so let's talk about the Hobie Lynx. We're going to go over some things. We're going to talk about pros and cons, and we're going to talk about different types of usages, you know, what your plans are with it, and how I used mine. This is technically not my kayak. It was a loaner kayak. It was a demo, and I took it out to see if I would want to buy one to use it for the type of fishing that I intend to do. I encourage anybody who's getting ready to buy a kayak if they have that option available, they need to exercise it. And this is going to be a perfect case in point with this video that I'm doing. So let's talk about some pros. The pros of this kayak are almost blatantly obvious, but one is it is extremely lightweight. I think it's 40 some pounds without the driving seat, and then once you put the driving seat in there, I think it's like 60 pounds. But you know, if you're rooftopping this boat, or if you're storing this boat in your ceiling when not in use with those, you know, rafter or those lifts that they use, you know, it's only 40 pounds. It's an extremely lightweight boat. You can move it, carry it, go do a lot of things with it. You can cart it, portage it. There's so many different things that you can do because of the fact that it's lightweight. One of the other awesome pros is an open deck concept. You can accessorize it however you like. You can put H-rails on it, which I would strongly recommend. The H-rails, they basically put the H-rail holes in there so you don't have to drill anything, because I don't think you're supposed to drill into this kayak because of the type of material that they use inside. So they do put tracks on it where you can put additional things on there, which you'll see you know, in the first part of this video whenever I did the overview. But I would strongly recommend H-rails, especially if you plan on doing any kind of tournament fishing out of this. If you're just a recreational angler, and you don't need all that additional accessories, then you don't have to buy it. So that's a really cool option. You can put a fish finder on this boat. They have something similar to the Guardian transducer system on the PAs and the Outbacks. They have something similar that doesn't retract underneath. It's a really cool option that they've made available to you. The seat was actually surprisingly comfortable. I don't normally expect that type of mesh material to be an overly comfortable thing. And I honestly didn't have enough time in it to truly put it to the durability test, but I know it met the comfort test. I used that seat for 2.5 days, even without a kayak cushion, and it was still, I mean, I didn't have any issues. My back didn't hurt, my butt didn't hurt. The seat was surprisingly comfortable. Tear down and setup is, I mean, super easy, super seamless. You take one pin thing out of the rudder and it comes off, and you press a button and you can take the rudder control handle off. So super easy tear down and set up. The drive just comes out just like any other drive in a standard Hobie, not the 360, but just it comes out the same way. And that's really awesome. I mean, it makes it really super easy for tear down and setup. Easy transport, like I said earlier, with carting. You can throw a cart in there in the 2 rear scuppers, and you can basically lug this thing anywhere you want to take it to. You can go up a hill, you can take it 200-300 yards across the park to get to the edge of a creek. You can park a long ways away and not have to worry about loading and unloading in the boat loading zone. There's just a lot of really easy or awesome awesome aspects that you can consider there for transporting. Stowing and loading, same thing we've already talked about. This boat is really perfect for like a small lake with no ramp, or one of those hidden gem creeks that you can't really get to easily, but maybe there's some public access that that runs and butts up against the creek, but you might have to cart it a ways. This boat is perfect for that kind of thing. Super easy to portage if you're floating down the river and you have to portage around somewhere. You can easily move this boat off to the side and pull it over a rock ledge and then continue your float down the river. Hobie made it power pole ready. That's pretty amazing. They've already, they got the 4-hole pattern back there, and they got an insert there that you can take out and you can put your power pole down in it. And I think one of the biggest pros of this boat is how amazing this thing maneuvers. The rudder gives you maximum turning ability. Like, you can turn this thing on a dime. Basically, you can almost turn it within its own length. And that's impressive for a pedal drive rudder system boat. I know guys and girls that are extremely good paddlers that can, really maneuver their boat. But this is a pedal drive system that you can do that with. And I don't think there's a boat on the market like that outside of maybe the 360. But even the 360 won't turn within its own length. Like, this boat is just, it was incredible whenever I had it out there and was messing around, doing donuts and turning and stuff like that. So one other pro is they put track systems built into it, but we're going to talk about that where they might be a little bit of a con as well. But they did put track systems on both sides where you can put accessories on it so you don't have to drill into the boat, and that's a really cool feature too. That's grass. That's it, eelgrass. Yep. Like right here. There's a patch of it here. Right there. Like, you could probably cast alongside of it.
That's what I was thinking. That's how we have to fish the cutter over there.
Oh, easy, fella. Can you chill? Just for a second.
Right in that eelgrass, wasn't you?
Right along it.
Yep. Yeah, let me get some pictures of the first lynx fish. Well, it's not as great. Yep. Way out. Outstanding.
All right. First little one on the Lynx. This little fella, and he's trying to come back in the boat. Yeah. Got him? Oh, that's a good one.
There you go, baby.
That's a good fish right there. That's a 19.
Well, hey. Hey.
That's what I'm talking about.
You got the capital in the background? No.
No, let me zoom in real quick though. I'm gonna give you. Awesome. You want to get one with the capital in the background?
If you don't mind.
Yeah. The chatterbait on straight braid is that's fun, and you get real deep hook sets too. Yeah. Alright, so let's talk about a couple cons. First, if you are an angler, if you are a tournament angler, fish measuring is going to require some sort of barrier. It's a wide open deck. I would suggest getting maybe some H-rails. Since this boat that I used during the tournament was not mine, I didn't have H-rails on it. So what I did was I made a barrier with a rod holder and a cup holder from Yak Attack. And then what I did with that was I leaned my net up against those two things so that if the fish jumped, it jumped into the net versus off of the boat. And that actually happened like 3 or 4 times. So you definitely are going to need a barrier of some sort, and if you plan on doing any kind of tournament fishing where you're going to be measuring the boat. or I'm sorry, not measuring the boat, but measuring the fish. Another con is hull slap. This boat is very loud. It is not a stealthy boat. The water hitting the boat, the side of the boat, and even going underneath, I could hear the current as the water moved along the boat. I could hear a lot of slap whenever the current or wind pushed a wave into the boat. And the other aspect too was the fins. If you know how in the Hobies you can do the flutter kick. Well, whenever I was doing the flutter kick, I hit the bottom of the boat quite a few times with the fins, and it's just a really, really loud, echoing thud sound that's not typical of your rotomolded kayaks that we're used to. It doesn't absorb the sound very well. It doesn't absorb impact very well either if you're fishing in a rocky or shallow, stump-filled environment. It doesn't absorb those type of impacts very well. So that's something to consider. I'm not saying that it's truly a con unless you fish those types of areas, and then maybe you might want to consider that. This type of boat would be amazing in a marshy area where you don't have a lot of that kind of stuff. But maybe in a shallow, rocky river, it may not be the best option. The rudder also is as amazing as it is for turning and for maneuverability. It did kind of creep on me a little bit in current. When I was in strong current and the water would hit the rudder, it would turn it a little bit, and it would make it where I would have to just do constant adjustments with my hand to keep the rudder in place. That way I could maintain my boat positioning. So it may, and I don't know if there's a way to increase the tension, but it may require some sort of tensioning adjustment. If they have it, great. If they don't, it definitely should include that. Another thing with the rudder is the handle. Depending on which side you have it on, I had it on my left side, so the rudder handle, whenever turned completely right, would be poking at my thigh, and it would be opposite of that if you had the rudder handle on the right hand side. So another thing that, it's not really a con, it's nice that they added it and threw it in there, but the cup holder really just didn't do anything for me. I didn't use it for 2.5 days. I had it on there the first time I took it out, and what I saw was that whenever I tried to lay my rods down to my side, just to get it, to put them down, whether I'm managing a fish catch or something like that, that cup holder being on the side there really just kind of got in the way and made it a little bit more difficult for me to reach for things that were either under my seat or off to the side of my seat. So it's nice that they add it, but I don't like it. I wouldn't use it if I buy this boat. So one of the last things that I'll say as a con, there's two more, but one of the last things is, and this might be one of the most important, the fins, if they are in the down position, they're straight down or maybe even partially down, if you hit something hard like a rock or a stump, this boat is so lightweight, it almost makes it feel like it's going to throw you out of it. Especially if you're in a current environment like I was in the Susquehanna River. The fins were straight down, and one point I hit a rock boulder structure, and it literally, I thought I was going to go. I thought I was gone. So I didn't overcompensate and overcorrect and stayed inside my boat. But for a novice kayak angler, I could see where that may have thrown them out of the boat and potentially created a dangerous situation. So that's something to consider. If you're in a shallow environment like that, maybe you want to lock your fins up to the bottom of the boat. And I did do that after it happened the first time, I did that for the remainder of the weekend that I used it. And the very last thing that I'm going to say is a con is it's also a pro. The tracks are great, and I'm glad that they put them in there. but they do flex. They're like a plastic material, and I don't think that they're strong enough for things like maybe an anchor wizard or tie off point for an anchor. Or if you're trolling, they may not be strong enough for that type of application as well. So, it's something to consider. I didn't have enough time in the boat to really test that theory out, but at first glance, I don't think they would have been strong enough, especially for an anchor tie-off position or an anchor wizard where you're trying to pull up a 5-pound anchor. I just don't think that those tracks would have been strong enough, and I think that over a period of time, they probably would have failed. So final thoughts. My final thoughts on the boat is it's an amazing platform. It's stable. You can stand up on it. You are incredibly fast. You can go as fast as you want to go in this boat. It pedals and paddles extremely well. Although I will say that it doesn't track very well because it doesn't have any kind of aggressive keel or a skeg. It does move very well. It gets going well. So there's that. For the price of this boat, I believe it's $2,600. I would like to see an option for a lower price for an H-rail system, and maybe a lower price for a set of turbo kick-up fins as an add-on. Rather than pay full price for that kind of stuff, since you're buying this boat, I think there should be some sort of package offered with these things that you can add on for not the full price. Everyone knows that everything Hobie makes is pretty much the top of the line, and you're paying top of the line price for it. But I feel like if you're paying $2,600 for this type of boat, maybe they should throw you a bone and add a little package that you can buy at a decreased price or a discount price than what would normally be if you were buying them separate. And yeah, I mean, it's a great platform. I really think that a lot of people are going to enjoy this. I think it's going to really excel in the marsh environments and inshore, where going out fishing for redfish and doing the small ponds and stuff like that. I think it's going to be an excellent boat and great application for doing those kinds of things. It seems to be constructed well, and like I said, speed, maneuverability, and comfort, it's all there. So I don't see any issues with someone buying this boat where they wouldn't enjoy it. But I would caution them if they do fish the type of environment that I fish regularly on the Susquehanna River. Not everywhere in the world is like the Susquehanna River, and I understand that. But it's things to think about whenever you are potentially getting ready to buy this boat. So those are my thoughts. Those are my opinions, and they're not endorsed by anybody. They're not paid for. This is an unbiased opinion, and yeah, I hope you guys, and if you guys and girls buy this boat, I hope you enjoy it and love it, because I do think it'll be an amazing platform for you. Just take into consideration some of the things that I mentioned.